So now I would like to invite Shri for PC Goel Memorial Lecture, the keynote address for empowering values and emergence of a profession. Mr. Debajyoti Ray Chaudhuri.
Good evening, dignitaries on the dais. I am indeed very, very happy to be here in this 50th Indian Values Congress, and it's also my honor and privilege to deliver this PC Goel Memorial Lecture. Now, I was earlier in IBBI for almost 4 years, and it was always my endeavor to attend the anniversary celebrations of IBBI. I attended the 8th anniversary celebration on 1st October. We deliberated on various achievements of the IBC. I think some of you would be familiar, but just a quick recap. For example, last year we had almost 270 resolutions, which was all-time high. This year till date, it's around 124, which is slightly lower, but still quite good. There's also a consensus about behavioral changes where borrowers are now keen to have a resolution with the lenders. NPAs of banking system are at an all-time low. So these achievements are usually talked about, and they are indeed significant. All stakeholders in the IBC process, registered values are here. I think some of you registered values, may IPs also. So all of us are proud of these achievements. We are aware of these achievements. But there's one achievement which in my opinion is equally important. One achievement of the IBC which is equally important, which needs to be highlighted. What is that? It is the birth of two new professions, the registered valuers and of course the IPs. Now, unlike IPs, the valuation industry has a long history in India. There have been several attempts in the past to holistically institutionalize an arrangement that develops and regulates the profession of valuers, who can estimate the value of an asset with full responsibility. It took a concrete shape with the enactment of the Companies Act 2013. Very interestingly, Section 247 of the Companies Act 2013 originally provided that where valuation is required under the provisions of the Act, it shall be valued by a person having such qualifications and experience and registered as a valuer. However, when the rules were notified in 2017, it was observed that there were several organizations, and we just spoke about IOV, who had considerable experience and expertise which had to be used. It was also realized that it would be very difficult to regulate valuers by direct registration with the central authority. Therefore, in a very significant development, government amended 247 of the Companies Act to provide that only a valuer member of a recognized valuer organization would be registered with the authority. So this was a landmark development which paved the way for the registered valuer organization. Originally in the rules, there was no role for the RVOs. It also designated IBPI as authority for this purpose and notified the company's registered valuer and valuation rules 2017 to provide a comprehensive network for development and regulation of the profession of valuers. This also meant that the regulatory framework would be of 2 tiers like the IPs. When the rules were notified, it was a significant challenge for many valuers who had been practicing the profession for years. This was a subject they knew very well, but they still had to appear for an examination and get regulated by a new set of rules. So that's the reason, even before the rules became effective, IBBI reached out to all practicing valuers to explain the provisions. Also, certain provisions were amended based on feedback received from stakeholders. I was in IBBI at that point of time, and I know there were significant challenges for the regulator, IBBI. There were numerous representations being received, personal meetings being sought for from various quarters who had misgivings regarding the new dispensation. There were also legal challenges to the rules. So all these were met. Necessary arrangements for conducting the examination, procedural formalities for registration of RVs were done. And finally, and a very important date, 19 July 2018. 19 July 2018. Why it is important? It is important because the first set of 16 registered valuers were given the certificate of registration by the then Minister for Law and Justice and Corporate Affairs, Mr. P.P. Chaudhuri. I'm happy to say that out of the 16 registered valuers, 12 were from IOV-RVF. We have come a long way since then. I would say that our RVs have responded well to the challenge posed by the regulatory framework. They have valued some of the largest series which were resolved. For example, there was media coverage about haircut. Yes, all of us have heard about haircut. But because we had the valuation, so IBBI could quickly respond that, look, you're talking of haircut, but your resolution value was in most cases more than the liquidation value. Now, there's a very interesting data point for 2023-24. Of the 240 cases which were resolved, the resolution value was nearly 92% of the fair value. So what does it mean? Is the resolution process effective or not? When you are realizing 92% of your fair value, I would say it's quite effective with the registered valuer. There's now also a requirement that after receiving resolution plans, RP is mandated to provide not only fair value and liquidation value, but also a copy of the valuation report. So your work will come under additional scrutiny and we should be prepared for it. It also means that RVs are going to play an increasingly important role in the insolvency resolution process. I had earlier stated that IBC marked the birth of the profession of the registered valuer. The word profession has not been defined in the code, but there have been various interpretations of the same. In broad terms, a professional means a person who has acquired expertise in a specialized field like accounting or valuation and is also members of a professional body. That's the definition of profession. In the case of RVs, the rules also provide that the RVO lays down and enforces a code of conduct for valuers who are its members. and which includes all the provisions specified in Annexure 1 of the rules. The conditions of registration also provide that the RV shall comply with the code of conduct of the registered valuer organization of which he is a member. The rules provide for valuation standards, and a committee was also set up. And chairman of the committee is also here. It gave its recommendations. Such standardization of valuation is as crucial for ensuring consistency and fairness in valuation. A comprehensive set of prescribed standards, methodologies, and assumptions for all valuations can lead to better price discovery and help promote a market for districts in India. We heard earlier that the chief guest saying that our valuers should be the best in the world, and for that you have to adopt the best practices. When in IBBI we had organized a seminar on 8th of June 2019, this date is extremely important because we had valuation professionals from all over India. While noting the progress in implementation of the valuation rules, the then Secretary MC had stated, we now feel that we have enough critical mass to once again make an attempt to have a national institute for the valuers profession along the lines of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. A committee of experts was constituted. It submitted its report. Many of us, some of us in this room as well, contributed to this report. So let's not lose sight of this. I think this was referred to by the earlier speakers also. And it's also equally important, keeping in view the remarks of the chief guest about trust in the valuer. Regulation by IBBI gives this ecosystem a comfort that the activities of RV are subject to supervision. They can also write, RVs can also write against the name RV like you write a CA or a doctor. In conclusion, I'd like to quote from the Australian Council of Professions 2003, which appeared in the report of the Committee of Experts. Some parts of it are very significant and applicable for us as RVs. What is a profession? A profession is a disciplined group of individuals who adhere to ethical standards and who hold themselves out as and are accepted by the public as possessing special knowledge and skills in a widely recognized body of learning derived from research, education, and training at a high level. And finally, very important is that they are prepared to apply this knowledge and exercise skills in the interest of others. I'll leave you with this thought, which is as much applicable for RVs as much as for any other profession in the world. Thank you so much for a patient hearing.